So, good morning everyone. Today's the day of the show. And as you can see in here, it's raining. Just a tad. Ooh, and there's thunder and lightning too. So after 3 hours of rain, good news is it's kind of stopped raining. But it looks like it's going to rain all day pretty much. But there is blue sky. So fingers crossed for the blue sky. And the venue is that one. So we're just in the end of it, underneath the sign. Just waiting to get in now. But I've not bought much stock this time for this one. I'm not feeling confident. everyone, and welcome to today's little stream talk recording thing. I don't know what to call it. I'm very tired right now. So I'm going to a lot, I'm going to air a lot, I'm not going to probably talk very clearly. But I need to spread the word. It's about shows. So basically, today I did a show, my first one of the year. I tend to only do 1 or 2 a year, and there's a very, 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 very good reason behind that. And today was one of those reasons. So, where do I start? Seriously, where do I start on this one? I need to tell you guys about this because I don't want anybody falling into what I fell into, which was a very large pile of mess. So, where to begin? So a few months ago, basically, I saw an advert in the local paper, just a little local one, saying about a craft fair at one of my local events, well, venue places. And so I contacted the venue, and they turned around and said, no, we don't organise this. This certain person comes and organises it. And I thought, okay, interesting. That straight away was making me think, that's interesting. So I contacted this person, and they came back to me, which was really good. And the table fee was somewhere around, I think it was £22. And this was for a Sunday event, which I'd first assumed, because the Sunday trading laws would be 10:30 till 4:30. So I waited the response. There was a bit of back and forth talking. I sent the money, 22 odd quid, and then I got the information come through a little while later. And the timings were 11 till 4. So I was thinking, that's very short. That's really, really, really short. And I know short. I'm only 4'10", so yes, I know short. And I thought that's not much time to get any trading done within. And setup was about 9:30. So that's fine, good setup time. It's always appreciated at the end of the day. So the day came today, and I'd got everything organised. Brought my mum along. Well, it's tradition, bring mum along. And also it meant I could leave my table and go and get some footage, go and have a bit of a nosy, take bathroom breaks, and my mum knows the routine really well, so I can trust her to do the selling if needed. We work really well as a team, and it just means that I've also got help with all of the equipment. So we arrived at the venue, and it was tipping it down of rain when I kind of woke up, so we were like, oh god, we're going to get wet shirts. So when we got to the venue, the weather had dried up a little bit, and we waited to the night time. But while waiting, people were kind of sneaking in a little bit, and it was almost like one rule for one rule for another. But I had to laugh because everybody was waiting and they were blocking the fire exit. So straight away I thought to myself, if everyone stood blocking the fire exit and nobody's actually saying, look guys, go down to the main doors and come in that way, then that's not good. Because no matter what, you shouldn't block a fire exit. It's that simple. Your access point shouldn't be a fire exit. Simples. So my health and safety hat was already starting to go on. Now, a few of you are wondering, why would I be worried about health and safety? Because I'm insured. I pay every year for insurance to ensure that when I go to shows, if there is an incident or if my products get damaged or something happens around my table, I am legally covered. That I can turn around to my insurer and say, I've done my risk assessment, I'm in the right, the claimant's in the wrong, toodle pip. And in all honesty, it may cost, but I strongly, strongly recommend insurance. Even if, like me, you're only doing 2 shows a year.
having that behind you makes you think a lot about when you're doing shows. And also, as I found today, if you turn around to someone and say, you want me to put that on my risk assessment for my insurance, they tend to kind of stand up a little bit straighter. But it is important, not only for you, your products, but for others. So as I said, so eventually the doors open and everyone piles in, and we were told you had to go to this particular pillar and your name and a table number would be assigned. It's nice and straightforward. Go to the pillar, there's nothing. They just stuck name tags on all of the tables. So there's tons of tables, so there I am as you go up one arm, down the other, up one arm, down the other. And I was starting to panic because I couldn't find my name. The reason being because they hadn't spelt it right. So I eventually found my table, and people started like calling out saying, oh, has anyone seen so-and-so? Which was a bit ridiculous. And family brought in most of the kit, so I could start immediately getting the cloths down, getting the setup done. And while that was going on, I was also writing down my risk assessment, because on one of the trips back to the doors to pick up some more bags, the floor, and this is one that caught me out. When I'm at shows, I wear really heavy boots. I wear ones with really good grips because I've got to be safe. As I stepped off the carpet, and I had a little bit of moisture on the bottom of my shoes, my heel touched the ballroom floor, which is what this place was on, was the ballroom floor, and I slid. Somehow I kept my balance, and somehow I didn't do the splits, which would have been very unfortunate for my jeans. And I managed to save myself. But several people saw it, and there were several kind of, oh my gosh, is she alright? So that immediately I grabbed my notebook and took photos of the floor and logged it down. Because, like I say, I'm a bit more sensible. I would rather be overcautious than undercautious. Now, I had to be a little bit careful with what I was doing a lot of the time, and I've been told that dogs were also going to come into the venue, so considering it was raining on and off during the day, I had to take into account that little Fido might have a shake right on next to my table, which would have resulted in damaged property. So setting up, writing down all these things, making sure that I'm all fully written up, stood in front of my table once I've finished all the layout, and I'm doing my risk assessment, completing it all, making sure everything's logged, photographed, the lot. And we were in like this long bank, so it was like, how can I put it? So you had table, no gap, table, no gap, table, no gap, and then tables on the end, and no gap, and then another table, and there were no gaps. The only tiny gap was about 1/2 foot on a couple of the corners, and other sellers blocked these, so they put clothes rails and advert boards and all sorts, so the corners were completely blocked off. So I ended up having to go underneath my table to kind of get back and forward, and I realised I can't do that. If there's a fire or an emergency, I've got to be able to get from A straight out to the nearest fire exit. So I spotted one of the people who was doing the event and said to her, basically, where is my fire exit? How do I escape this massive great big bank of tables? I cannot go that way, that way, that way, or that way. And she said, oh, just go under the table. And I said to her, you're joking, yeah? She was like, no, you can go under the table. And I said, no. This is not acceptable. This is basically a fire health and safety issue. And I said, do you really want me to put this down on my insurance risk assessment that you did not provide a fire exit or a safe means to move out of the table bank in case of emergency, including medical emergencies. And she took my name and was like, oh great, I'm now a troublemaker. Which I honestly don't mind if they label me a troublemaker. And she said, oh, I'll have to go and talk to the organiser. And I thought, hang on a second. The organiser should have been walking round that hall and checking that everybody had open and closed access to get in and out from between the tables in case of needs. Be it medical emergency, be it a fire alarm, be it a bomb alarm, you know, be it somebody's about to puke up or someone's fallen over on the front of your desk. You need to be able to get out and move fast. You can't go under a table. So you can imagine I was not a happy bunny. And eventually, about 10 minutes later, they come back and they're like, oh yeah, we'll ask people to move their tables. And they did. I got scowled at by a few people. But I honestly didn't care because I knew that if anything happened, there were people in that group who could not crawl under a table, and it was an extremely stupid thing for them to actually state. So the show began. By this time I was just like, oh my god, this is bad. And we realised that nobody had been told about evacuation points. Nobody had been told what to do in the medical emergency. So were there stewards? Was there anybody actually you could run and get? No one was told where the nearest first aid kit was. Nobody was told if there was any testing being done. Everyone just, was pootling along. But other shows that I've been to, other shows that I would say were professionally run, it was standard that everybody had to stand and listen to the organiser as they reeled off where your fire escape was, where your first aider was, where your contact point was, who to call, what to do, all of that. In every professional show that I've done has been covered. I've even actually done a fire drill in a show, and it was brilliant because everyone knew exactly where they had to go, where they had to be, and who they had to call for. But at this show today, there was nothing. Didn't even seem to have any stewards. Which, in fact, we were very, very lucky at one point that we didn't actually need a medical assistance. So we were feeling pretty knocked off of that. But everything got logged down because as I say, log it down, make sure it's all registered, photographed, the lot. So I thought, well, I've done my bit. They clearly don't really give a stuff, they just simply want the money. So the show starts, and the minute it did, I knew I was not going to make anything at all. How did I know? It's like certain shows you go to and you know you've got buyers, and other shows you go to and you know you've got browsers. And the first wave of people were literally browsers. You could see they had no intention of spending anything. It was simply a day out, go off, look round, and that was it. So straight away I was like, no, not good. Really, really not a good sign. And I thought, okay, maybe if I just make the table fee back, 22 quid, it can't be that hard. And the browsers came, and they did the 4 Ps. And the 4 Ps are pick up, poke, put down, pee off. It's that simple. So I had a lot of the 4 Ps going on. I had a lot of comments of, oh dear, you're very talented. Oh, I like that. Oh, these are very good, aren't they, dear? And oh, look at that, that's nice. I was just begging inside. I was like, if you like it that much, spend £1, a measly £1, and support. That's literally, I was begging inside. These people, though, were going and buying, say, a £2 cupcake. And if one of the kids, one case, it was quite funny, they'd spent probably about 6 quid on cupcakes. One of the lads wanted a 20p coaster, and his mother said no. And eventually the kid actually won and did come over and get the 20p coaster. And the mother was like, oh, that must have cost loads. And he was like, no, it's 20p. And she's like, oh, okay. But people really, I wouldn't say exactly tightwads, but there was clearly no will to spend at all. I didn't push, because I could see what was happening, I didn't bother pushing my sales, but also because I was trapped in a bank of tables, I couldn't go out front. And when you're at a show, I think it is very important that you should be able to engage with your customers. You shouldn't be hidden behind a wall of art or crafts or whatever you're selling. And that wall stops you from interacting properly with your customer. You should be able to step around your table and politely greet them and say, hi, I'm the artist here. Anything that takes your fancy? How can I help you? Would you like to know more about this product? You know, friendly, chit-chat, not too forceful, not too shy, just balance it out, gauge your customer. I couldn't do that because I couldn't get round the table because we were on a whopping great big line. So I couldn't engage with the customers properly, which meant that I was trying to talk over my table and in a really loud environment, so people couldn't hear me, and they were just nodding and then walking off. So definitely, if you're going to a venue with like a line of tables, speak to the organiser and ask if you can have a gap between your table. If it's possible to move a table 2 foot, as long as it's safe to do so, of course. But this frustrated me a lot because I really, really wanted to engage with local people who, oddly enough, I serve. A lot of the people I saw today, I make their coffees in the morning. I make their bacon buns. I literally make their cheesy pasta and toasties at lunch, and I give them afternoon tea. But I couldn't go over and say, oh, hi sir, so how's it going? Have you been in and out of coffee yet? I couldn't do any of that. I felt so restricted. And that hit me mentally. I felt demoralised. I felt down. And so I just lost all motivation to even try. I thought, why am I bothering? Seriously, why am I bothering? Because I'm not going to get anywhere. I can't talk to my customers, I can't engage with them. And I had a guy next to me who was a little bit pushy with his sales, which I could understand considering how much stock he had and the cost of his stock. He spent a lot of money to make his stock. I even put a little sign out saying local artist, everything produced locally. People just walked up. It was heartbreaking. You literally just had people walk past. It's so demoralising. You're stood there, you're smiling, you're looking as cute and helpful as possible, and people don't even look at you. They just walk straight past your table without a second glance. And I appreciate a lot of people go through this. So if you are new to doing shows, please be aware this happens. Don't think that you're going to be able to sit there and everyone will come flooding into your desk and talk. I keep on calling it desk because I'm working on the desk, apologies. This is a desk. So don't think that everybody is going to come over and engage. You will get a lot of walkthroughs. Some people will make derogatory comments. For once, I didn't really hear any, though I think there were 1 or 2, but meh, that's their problem, not mine. So for all that time, I was literally sat and stood and sat and stood. The people next to us didn't want to talk. The people on the other side didn't want to talk. So we didn't even actually have anyone to engage with on the tables, whereas in previous shows, we've been lucky that we've had really nice people and you've actually been able to have a laugh and a bit of camaraderie and bouncing off of the people. This time there was none of that. It was very, very, very cliquey. So what do I mean by cliquey? Everyone was self-centering, or you had to be in the group to talk to the group. So we weren't part of that world, so we didn't get invited in, you could say. And actually, thinking of that, this was something else that caught us out. I did manage to get a couple of words out of one lady, and I was joking about the fact that the whole thing didn't seem to have been advertised due to the complete lack of footfall at one point. And I found out that the organiser pretty much hadn't advertised it. So what she'd done was she'd given out these little flyers which you had to go and put out yourself, which isn't really carbon effective or environmentally friendly, whereas everyone was like expecting an online advert, an advert in the paper, an advert on the radio, something on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. You know, there's a lot of social media out there, isn't there? No, apparently she advertised it on about 1 or 2 Facebook groups which she was part of, and that was it. There was no other advertising effort made, which does actually explain why it was only very, very weak amount of footfall. I mean, you looked it up online, all you could find was one for August. There was nothing for today's show at all. And the worst thing was, for people like me, I put out a few of the flyers, and I'd also told people, oh, look online if I didn't have a flyer. If I'd known that there was no advertising at all, I wouldn't have told people to look online, because that didn't help at all. So that was really annoying. So basically the organiser pretty much let everybody down. The event could have had a lot more people attend it, which would have meant possibly higher sales, which would have meant happier people and more chance of coming back to it. From what I did gauge from other sellers, a lot of them wouldn't be returning because of literally how badly it was organised. So when you guys are booking up for sales and stuff and shows, even if it's a church fete or something like that, small and local, try and find a few of the previous year's sellers and talk to them. Ask them open, honest questions. How did you find it? Did you sell much? Did you get asked a lot of questions? Was there interest in your table? All those sort of things. And get a really, really good idea and engage and find out how it went. Was it a rainy day? Was it sunny? Because believe me, it was rainy today. It did brighten up for a little bit, but I wouldn't say it picked up during that time at all. It stagnated most of the day. We were told we couldn't pack up till 4 o'clock. I think, was it 1, 2, 3, 4? About 5 people left by 3 o'clock. They'd had enough. And that's not a good sign. When people start packing up at an hour plus before the closing time, that's not good. That tells you it's a bad show. It shows that people have literally felt that way. They're not going to make a sale. They're not going to bother hanging around, especially when you've got to travel. And luckily our lift had turned up a bit earlier, which was brilliant. So I left about 20 minutes before closing, because there literally was no point. There was nobody coming in. The weather was tipping it down. So there was not going to be any more sales. So overall, I found this a really majorly disappointing show, from the organisation all the way through to the execution. Whereas it should have been 1,000 times better. I know advertising costs, but Facebook, you can go onto so many local websites. There's often a council website. There's often local business websites. There's so much you can find, but you just got to go looking and asking permission politely. It just felt like none of that was done. And I mean, I was going show prices. So my prices today were lower than what I'm currently selling in the retail market. And I was iPhone. And the thing was, I was actually saying to people, look, if you're local, go down to this venue. They've got my stuff, but you will have to pay more than today's prices. So I was being honest. But in truth, I had a few people poke stuff. And again, it's very disheartening when you put a lot of effort into something and then people are just like, meh, and walk off. And a while ago, somebody actually said to me, and it ended up as a bit of a debate of, when somebody turns around and says, oh, you're so talented, it doesn't feel like a compliment. And when you've heard it like 6-7 times, oh, you're so talented, it doesn't. It actually feels insulting, because if you think that a person has got a good quality, that they're doing something good, does it hurt to support them? So by not supporting them, it's like, oh, yeah, you're good, and then slap in the face. At least that's how I felt, and I think several other people were feeling the slap in the face. And one lady, because I didn't have the exact number of products that she wanted, she just slammed the products down and walked off. Okay, don't ask if I could order that in for you. So, yeah, I'm feeling drained. We had a lot of stuff to carry in. The weather was really atrocious. And I think it all added up. At the end of the day, the whole thing added up to a bad day. So in summary, would I do that venue again? No. What would make me do the venue again? Organisation, health and safety, actual advertisement, attention to detail, and a hell of a lot of other things would make me do that venue again. But currently, no. Absolutely no way. No way. Now, how does this affect the next couple of weeks? Because my second show happens in a couple of weeks. Yay! Well, my second show is going to be a lot better, because the organiser knows how to organise. So the second show that I'll be doing, the organiser has already asked for our insurance documents, so everyone's got to produce their insurance. We will be having to do a risk assessment on the day of our area that we set up, because it's in a Tudor castle, so you've got to do your risk assessment of your floors, is your table level, electrics and all of that. So they're on it, literally. You have to do one. Then it's going to come down to things like the advertising. Have they advertised this team? Yes. They've got it on their websites. They've got it on Facebook. They've even got, this is brilliant fun, they've even got a Meet the Traders page on Facebook. How neat is that? So if you're interested in going, but you're worried that you're just going to see the same old, you can actually get an advanced look in at who's going to be there. And if you see something you like, you can send a message through, because all our details are kind of on there, which is absolutely brilliant. So it actually means that some sellers are getting pre-orders and getting asked, oh, can you make sure you've got plenty of that? Can you do that? So this is a really, really good way of upping your marketing and getting sales before the show, but also knowing your audience. So the venue that I'm going to be going into, as I say, it's going to be a Tudor castle. It's beautiful, small, scary, beautiful. And I think I'm upstairs again, so it means narrow staircases, which I don't mind. We managed it last time, managed to get a 6-foot table up them. That was quite fun, actually. And the actual venue runners, they come round, they actually ask you, how are you doing, everything all right, anything needs changing. They do a floor check, they make sure that you know who your first aider is, and there's even stewards on the ground who walk around and make themselves visible, so you know everything you need to know. Fire alarms, stewards, first aid, what to do if someone takes it ill, you know, literally a stall holder, what the backup plan is. And the team who work there are, how can I describe them? They're amazing, because they're friendly. Everyone who goes to this particular show is really, really, really nice. There's no clickiness. You work together. If you get a customer who's been a bit awkward, people will stand up for each other and say, hang on a second. I mean, a few years ago, me and a friend who was there, we were actually upselling each other's products. We were calling across saying, no, you want to buy that product? Yeah, that one's even better. And it was a laugh. You could talk to the people next to you. There was camaraderie. There was hot drinks laid on. You could go and play with Santa Claus if you fancied. And there was the smells of like mince pies, mulled wine, hot mulled wine. Completely different atmosphere. So I'm really, really, really looking forward to going back to that show. Is there a cost difference? Yes. The posh show that I'm going to in a couple of weeks is costing me about £40 for the table. So in a sense, you do pay for, well, you get what you pay for. So I spend 22 quid, I get absolute crap, basically. Sorry, I'm calling it. Please don't demonetise me. Not that I'm monetised yet. But I put in a little bit more money. And I pay for my insurance and all of that. And I'm getting quality. I'm getting quality people. I'm getting quality service. And I know that I have a really, really, really good chance of my product selling. Because the way that it's been marketed, I can go onto Facebook and I can see the page. I can see it multiple times. There's good, and there's not just flyers going out. They've got it in local buildings. People are talking about it. There's a lot of word of mouth of it. So I've actually had customers in my workplace coming over saying, oh, are you doing that event this year? And I can go, yes, I am. Oh, brilliant, we'll see you there. Oh, and we told our friends and they're going to come too. And I've even had people actually asking questions. So it's that huge difference of good advertising, good word of mouth. So I'm 1,000 times more confident in my next show than I have been, especially with what happened today. So honestly, if you're going to go into doing craft shows, it's not all about looking to see what other traders are doing to make sure that you're not next to the person who's selling the exact same item as you. And in all honesty, if that happens, you need to grab hold of the organiser immediately and say, I need to move. This is unfair competition to both parties. Don't just represent yourself, represent everyone. And in fact, actually, that's something that happened at today's show. So the chap behind me, I don't actually really know what they were selling, but the next thing you hear, everyone's quite calm. Yeah, no. You hear this voice go, oh, you're selling the exact same thing that I am. And you felt the atmosphere change. You felt the hackles on people's backs going up. And it's like, no, this is and all this justification. And about 10 minutes later, you hear the one of the members of the team behind us come back and go, it's nothing like ours. Ours is far better. It's just like, okay. But neither party were happy because they were selling roughly like the same products, different designs, of course. And they'd of course got different pricing. So it meant much more aggressive competition. But it was that sort of thing that made the atmosphere a little bit, you didn't feel comfortable. So I was quite happy that I was selling a very unique item. Well, items. Not that they actually sold. But yeah, I just wanted to tell you guys about this show. Sorry I waffled a bit. But sometimes you guys need to know the bare bones of what a show can be like. It's not all sell. It's not all about having a whoopee-doopie time, making networking contacts, making friends, having a wonderful time. It can be brutal. It really can. It can be mentally draining. It can be physically draining. You've got to have a steady head on. You've got to be really careful and think ahead. Don't take risks. If you're doing a show even at a church hall, get yourself insured, because if somebody falls over on the church floor in front of your table and claims that your table cover was too low, you've got to be covered. Hence I take photos of everything after layout so that I'm safe. And if you're wondering what I'm doodling, this is next year's Christmas design, or the rough for it. It's got a very, very, very long way to go. Trust me. Right. Mapping in what I want where. I'll move it around a little bit here and there. Actually here and everywhere. So in this parts of this video you'll see I put footage up of the venue. We were facing a window, so we were blinded a lot by incoming light, so we couldn't actually look at customers for quite a lot of the time until it got overcast, and then we could look at people. So again, position of the table really let us down. And I mean, did anything good happen? Because you're probably thinking, God, she's a moaner, isn't she? Did anything good happen? One person took my business card. That was what was good. Somebody took one of my business cards. And those business cards have links to my Etsy and my YouTube channel. That's good for me because it could mean one more subscriber, it could mean a sale on Etsy, which would be much more advantageous. In fact, I made more on Etsy this week than I did at the show. So, yeah, I'm going to put a lot more concentration into my Etsy store, put some new products up there. Because overall, I think that's been more profitable. Snowflakes. But yeah, like I said, I just wanted to update you guys on an absolute disaster of a day. A waste of the day. I've got a full week of heavy shifts coming up and I've wasted a day. So, but it was my choice. At the end of the day, I signed in for the show. I expected higher quality and I didn't get it. So, like I say, I have learnt a very, very sharp lesson on this one. That's so sharp it cuts very deeply. So there we go. So I will leave that there for now. I'm doing this in teeny weeny stages because I've got so much to do on it. And all of these marks in the background, this is all probably going to change. It's a bit like my camera. I need a new webcam, don't I? Because it don't want to work. Yeah, so hopefully you'll see more of this drawing over the next few weeks, depending on what's going on. I will update you guys on how the show that I'm expecting to do far, far better. I'll give you guys an update on that one. I'm probably going to eat my words, aren't I? I'm going to have my words served on a plate with knife and fork. Hopefully not, hopefully not. If I know the crew there, they will work their magic. So yeah, thank you very much for popping in. Hope you've enjoyed this random ramble, and I hope some of the things that I've said will make you think about how you do shows. I know that a lot of people are going to be doing Christmas shows, and it's definitely worth stepping back, having a think, and reflecting on how you're going to do it, and also about your venue. Is it really the right venue for you? Are you going to be able to sell at it? Are you going to be able to engage with customers at it? Even if you get a chance, walk a venue. I didn't with this one because I've been there before, so I knew the walkout. I didn't expect the business with the tables. So they will throw curveballs at you. In a couple of weeks, I'm going to the other site where I will walk the venue, and I know it will be absolutely mint. I know these guys because they're professionally doers of shows. They know exactly what has to be there, what has to be where, and I can trust them to do this right. So, it'll be interesting to see in a couple of weeks' time, won't it? Right. On that note, I am off, so take care everyone, all the best, and happy drawing to you all.